Hey everyone, Nathan here, just putting a little warning before the start of this episode. The audio is pretty pants in this one, and I apologise. During this episode, I was trying out a fancy new mic setup, and clearly I kicked something out of place, and then accidentally kicked it back into place about 15 minutes or so into this episode. And by the sounds of it, Blake accidentally recorded through the laptop mic instead of the fancy actual mic that they're supposed to use. So I apologise if this one sounds a bit messy, but I promise the Wrestlemania one is going to be great, so stay tuned for that one. Okay, thank you, and enjoy the episode.
Hey Nathan.
Yes, Blake.
Did you notice when I said that when you were drinking then?
Yeah, you were deliberately trying to do that while I had a mouthful of coffee.
Hey Nathan.
Would you like to continue? No, it's alright, we'll keep this. You keep going.
Hey Nathan.
Yes, Blake.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I literally thought it would take them more than 1 week to go back to being an absolute dumpster fire of a TV show.
You know, I can't say I'm surprised, I'm just disappointed. The fact they had one really good episode, and then this one, which is an absolute pile of trash.
Do you want to have a chat about it, or should we not bother?
I suppose we have to, we've committed ourselves now, haven't we?
Okay, so this week we are going to be talking about.
Are we still not doing intros?
No, that's the intro. That's done. This week okay. we're going to be talking about the March 22nd, 1993 episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the wonderful, hilarious, fun wrestling show going in Raw. I'm Blake, and over there is my tag team partner Nathan.
Hello.
And I'm a wrestling superfan. Nathan, not so much. He likes wrestling. He thinks it's grand, but he's not really as into it as I am, basically.
No, it's like I struggle to follow a lot of the storylines, but, you know, I like to see men get hurt.
I like seeing men in little pants doing a rolling around on the floor.
And speaking of being hurt, the usual commentary team is back.
Oh, I literally...
I was just going to say, like, I mean, to be fair, Rob Bartlett was in the last one as well, but he gelled a lot better with Bobby Heenan and the other man who I've already forgotten.
Was it Gorilla Monsoon?
Yes, Monsoon. I was thinking Typhoon? No, that's a wrestler.
I was thinking Giraffe Tycoon. I couldn't remember who it was.
But yeah, we're back to the standard today. We're back in Manhattan. We've got Macho and Vince back with Rob Bartlett, and Macho Man is dressed just in a t-shirt this time around, and it's very confusing. I miss his like psychedelic cowboy routine.
They call me the. I've done that, haven't I? Yeah, I've just put down. We're really back to normal. Like. Tediously, boringly back to normal. We've got Vince, like you say, Randy, like you say, and Rob on the commentary desk. Randy Savage is wearing an uncooked, uncensored, unraw t-shirt on the sleeve, like he drives for like Indy 500 or something.
Yeah.
And they're just sort of like just having a chat. And I was like so disappointed after last week, the barn burner we had. I was giggling, I was laughing, I had a big grin. My face hurt for the rest of the day that we recorded of how much fun I had watching it and then talking about it. This week, I've got more frown lines this week, more wrinkles, and I didn't need those.
We've got more frownies. We don't like having too many frownies. And I know that I usually like talk about the commentary team and their efforts during the entire episode. There's really nothing like special to talk about, so I'm just going to say now, the commentary team today feels very low energy. Like, Vince is just kind of calling spots without much actual gusto. Macho Man is only really butting in when he's asked to. He's not really saying much of his own volition. And even Rob Bartlett himself feels kind of... I mean, he has a couple of funny quips. Like, he's actually somewhat entertained today. He's not offensive, which is good for him. I think he deserves a treat. But, like... Generally, like, the ha-has and the hee-hees, there's not many of them today, is there, Blake?
No, it seems like quite a sombre affair. Like, it just seems very sort of tired and cranky and low energy.
Do you think the three of them were, like, they were tasked with putting together the Hall of Fame clip that we see later on?
Oh, and
that's
they're
why
a bit
they're
like...
all down.
They're bummed out. They're like, oh, God, I feel really sad now.
Had to look through 7 hours of footage of Andre the Giant and several other hours of sad piano music.
So the show starts, and from the get-go, I don't know what's going on here. So the first match we have is the Bushwhackers versus Damien Demento and Repo Man.
Which, yeah, like those two together is a very strange matchup. They've had like no chemistry as far as we've seen so far.
I don't think I've seen them on screen together, Repo Man and Damien Demento.
No, in fact, I think we've only seen Damien Demento wrestle in Raw once, maybe twice. I can't remember too much.
I think it's twice.
He's not a particularly memorable wrestler other than his like costume and gimmick.
Yeah, which doesn't really come out tonight, but I mean, it's just a weird start because it cuts to the ramp while Howard Finkel is saying the sentence, already in the ring, is Damien Demento and Repo Man. So we're looking at this.
Deserve an entrance.
Yeah, we're looking at this ramp for about 10 seconds, and everyone's like, where are they? And it goes to the ring, and they're like, oh, there they are. And I was like, what is going on? And
at the same time, like, it was already playing like the Bushwhackers theme at that point.
Yeah, so like it was a really confusing thing of Howard Finkel in the ring going, oh, already in the ring is Damien Demento and Repo Man, while we as an audience are looking at the Bushwhackers theme playing in front of the sort of psychedelic WF at the top of the ramp. And then...
Yeah, and like the pale yellow curtain.
And then there's like this sort of strange pause. Everyone's sort of like kind of not really knowing what's going on. And then it goes, introducing now the Bushwhackers, and they're not there either at the top of the ramp. They don't come out of the curtain or anything.
Yeah, it's just like 10 seconds of just staring at this curtain and waiting for something to happen.
And the theme of tonight is waiting. Patience. Yes. Vince McMahon wants to teach you the virtue of patience over the next 36 minutes of entertainment.
Which is not a good sign for WrestleMania 9.
No, this is like, can we just remind everyone, this is the last week of Raw anyway, before WrestleMania 9. This is your go-home show before WrestleMania 9, and this is what we've got. So this is what we're dealing with. The Bushwhackers, just going back to the show, they are on the balcony, like the Shield do.
Don't compare them.
Like, you know how Edge and Christian used to come down like during the Attitude Era, like through the crowd? It's like that, just with two Australian cousins. Go.
But instead of like running like to the ring, they're running around like the balconies, like you say, just sexually assaulting all of the ladies, some of whom look way too young to be kissing.
Nathan, they're Australian, man. They live by different laws and customs than we do.
It's upside down there. They age in reverse. In their language, that little girl is actually like 80.
G'day, Sheila. Do you want your face licking?
They do a lot of face licking.
Yeah, so Bushwhackers, their whole gimmick is they're dirty Australian men. Not dirty in a sexual sense, but they're just like grimy, everyday, hard-working Australian men. And they're the men from down under, and they kind of do this like stompy march thing where they swing their arms around, and they like you say, to grab fans by the face with both of their hands and lick their foreheads. And I'm not passing judgment of the people in the Manhattan Center in New York, but I wouldn't lick them.
Well, not only that, but the audience is very into it. Like, they're eager to be licked by these strange Australian fellows.
It's that thing of, like, you know, kind of mystery, difference, change. Ooh, these men are mysterious.
Oh, I'd love to be rogered by this gentleman.
So while they're doing that, we go to an advert break. Nothing's happened yet.
And when we cut back, still nothing has happened. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually feel sorry for Damien Demento and Repo Man, because they have been in that ring for what must be a good 5 minutes, and no attention is on them.
Nothing has happened. They've just been asked to politely stand there while the Bushwhackers are twatting around in the crowd. They're in a 6-man tag next Sunday with a midget. They've got a midget on their team next Sunday in a 6-man tag at that March WrestleMania thing.
We're still in a dark era of wrestling where, I mean, if they're happy, then go ahead, but I worry about people being exploited like that.
But it's okay, though, because the Beverly Brothers, their opponents, have also brought a midget friend to fight with them. So it's good. Yeah. But that's next Sunday, anyway, that we're not going to review or talk about or cover. So we'll come to that at the end of the show.
We're not.
So, like I say, it's literally just a lot of grandstanding and basically pissing around and wasting time. The Bushwhackers are like stomping around. They kind of eventually meander their way down to the ring, get in the ring, their music's still playing. Everyone seems kind of into it. There's like lots of cheering and kind of carrying on. But the match takes a hell of a long time to start. The bell rings to announce the beginning of the contest, and all four men are just sort of standing in the ring, just sort of looking about for a little while. And then the Bushwhackers are like stomping up and down the ring, and then they go outside, and they come inside, and just nobody's doing anything.
Yeah, and it's like Macho Man at one point brings up the fact that the only plan that you can have against the Bushwhackers is to have no plan at all, because any plan is the wrong plan because they're so unpredictable and wacky. And yeah, and I think that's just kind of the tactic they're trying to go for, is let's just try and confuse DD and Repo Man into like just falling over or something.
Just try and confuse them into pinning themselves, and then we win. So we start off eventually after a good, I want to say, something going on with the advert break. Obviously, we don't see because we're watching on the network, so we're not subjected to an actual advert break. I reckon it's probably been going on 6 or 7 minutes at this point.
Something like that, at least 5, definitely.
In a shorter show than normal as well. This show's only 36 minutes long as opposed to the normal 45. Now, on TV, I imagine it was shorter too. That's probably why there's more advert breaks. But we'll come to why that is. So at the end, I'll have a nice little wrap-up of why we think this episode was such a fucking disaster. So eventually we start off, and Damien Demento locks up with Butch, who's one of the Bushwhackers. They go into the corner, they do some punching. Like, people are just getting in and out of the ring as they please. Like, Repo keeps coming in, Luke keeps coming in. One point, Butch from the Bushwhackers, I think he bites Damien Demento's bum in the corner.
He absolutely does, because I made note of it. He gets his teeth right in there.
Repo comes in and interferes. So the Bushwhackers slingshot Damien Demento into the Repo Man, and they both fall down. And they do that again. And then everyone gets out of the ring. And then the Bushwhackers get in the ring and just start twatting around again, while Repo Man and Damien Demento are just sort of standing outside like, I can't believe I'm being paid to do this.
And they stay out the ring for a while just to let the Bushwhackers grandstand. And I don't know about like tag teams or anything. Is there like there's no countouts for tag teams, is there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Yeah, there's a 10 count as far as I'm aware.
They had to have been outside of the ring for like more than 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
They just weren't counting.
Well, the referee, I think the Bushwhackers must be wearing sort of very strong perfume or cologne or something, because anyone they get close to, their IQ seems to drop by about 60 points. So I think they just kind of emit this noxious gas that kind of just makes people stupid around them.
And they do a lot of like the assaulting and licking to the ref as well. And I would have thought that would just be immediate DQ, but whatever.
You can't, I mean, okay, so you can't hit the referee with a chair. Fine, I understand. But yeah, surely assaulting him with your tongue is enough to get you a DQ as well. You're quite right.
And that's just kind of a theme for this match in particular. I know that, like, you know, refs can only have so much power inside of a wrestling match, but, like, they go the extra length to make this ref look extra useless.
Yeah, there's a bit later on that I think it kind of encapsulates our point here. But they say...
I'll let you continue, though.
That's fine. I've not really got much to say about it, considering I've written a page of notes. A lot of it is just, oh my god, what is supposed to be happening? It's absolute garbage wrestling. Like you say, Repo Man and Damien Demento are outside the ring for too long. The Bushwhackers spend a good 10-15 seconds looking away from them, which I thought, oh, okay, the baddies will slide in and jump them, and then we can get the match going again. But no, they just all stand there looking at them. Eventually, they kind of come back into the ring, and they sort of... Damien Demento, they basically just do the same 3 moves over and over and over again. Damien Demento comes in, and Repo Man and Damien Demento like jump Luke, so they've swapped over now. So Butch is not the legal man anymore. Luke is. As a double team, they kind of do a beat down. They kind of like do some hammer fists. Damien Demento is in the corner. He Irish whips Luke. Luke coming off the rope. He shoulder blocks, and they both fall down. Repo Man kind of gets tagged in a kind of sort of hot tag. Like Damien Demento does like a little last minute sort of flop forward to get the tag. So that's a bit of energy at last. Somebody's doing something at last.
While Damien Demento's leaving, I just want to point out, I know we haven't seen much of him so far, but Damien Demento isn't very good, is he?
No.
Like, in this match in particular, it looks like he can't land a realistic-looking punch at all, which feels like it should be Wrestling 101. Like, everything he does just feels so sluggish and disconnected from everything.
It does feel very, okay, I'm going to do this move. And it's not like there's no flow, is there? I know what you mean. There's no sort of kind of energy and kind of flow, kinetic energy moving from one move to another. It is very, move begins, I have done move end, next move. There's no natural progression between his states of attacking and sort of asserting control and dominance. And I think, to be fair, if you think back to that 3-minute match he had with The Undertaker, that probably would have been a better review of that than I gave, but there we go. So yeah, the beatdown continues. I mean, there's like headlocks. There's an Irish whip off the rope. Luke ducks under the clothesline that's coming in and kind of gives him a shoulder block. Repo gets tagged back in. Butch kind of comes in and they kind of give him repeated clotheslines. And it's just chaos, but not good chaos. Not like reversing a chair shot with mustard chaos. This is like,
oh, yes.
This is just messing around. It's just play fighting.
You have no idea what's going on and you're wondering why any of it began to begin with.
Yeah, it's like there's no story going in. There's no sort of rivalry or feud. Repo Man and Damien Demento have just been thrown together. And if I didn't know any better and they didn't have a group name and they didn't look similar, I'd say Luke and Butch were just thrown together as well because there's no team synergy. Butch gets the two baddies' heads, he knocks them together, like, brilliant, well done. Repo, kind of off the back of that, he trips Luke on the outside. They're basically going for this thing called the battering ram, which is where they do like a double clothesline to you. So the bushwhackers run at you and hit you with their arm. But Repo kind of gets the jump and he trips one of them so they fall over. Damien Demento tries to... Okay, this is the one cool bit. Damien Demento has him across, like, in a almost a fall-away slam position. And the other bushwhacker that isn't in the move trips him. So Damien Demento falls back with the bushwhacker on top of him in a pinning predicament, which I thought, okay, that's kind of neat. The referee's on the looking outside, scolding Repo Man. He'll turn round, he'll see this situation that has occurred, he'll count 1, 2, 3, and then me and you can leave and not talk about this match anymore.
Yeah.
But no, the referee finishes talking to the Repo Man on the outside of the ring, and the situation is happening directly behind him, but instead of turning to his left and seeing the situation, he turns to the right. But, you know, referees, the match is happening in the ring, right? So how do you keep an eye on the match that's happening in the ring? You stick your head as high up into the rafters as you can. You look almost directly up. That's how you manage to... Because the thing that I guess that you don't know, because you know a lot about... the way sort of wrestling works from a technical standpoint on a level like that, what they do is they have a mirrored ceiling in all the arenas. So referees...
Oh, really?
No. So referees... Referees, what they do is they have to call the match, like legally they have to call the match from the reflection in the mirrored ceiling. That's why he was looking up, you see. So he could officially call the match. You can't let
I'm sorry that I interrupted your joke with me believing it.
So you can't look at the action in front of you. You know, on like sort of the floor or sort of the head height of all these men. So he doesn't see the pinning predicament. And Vince McMahon's like, referee, look down there, and almost like the referee is kind of like in the ring going, I refuse, I will not.
You can't tell me what to do, Vince McMahon.
I am not dealing with this situation anymore. This is not my dumpster fire. I'm going to look up here at a man selling hot dogs in the balcony. Okay, so the referee's an idiot, so he doesn't see the action. Yeah. And then, so they both basically get back onto their vertical bases, and they deliver the battering ram finisher, which is, like I say, just a charging clothesline from both the bushwhackers to Repo Man. And then one of the bushwhackers, I don't know if it's Luke or Butch, I don't care, he pins Repo Man, 1, 2, 3, they win.
Yeah, I mean, like... The Bushwhackers were at least, like, entertaining in how strange they were, but overall, these four men did not come across as good wrestlers.
I think the thing is, obviously, there's having a good character and there's being a good wrestler, and you can definitely do both, and the greatest wrestlers do both. They have a good character and they're good in-ring wrestlers. And then you get some people that are really good wrestlers but don't have a strong character. And then you get some people that have a strong character that aren't very good wrestlers. And I think the Bushwhackers are definitely... good character, popular, but just can't perform in the ring. So there's a disconnect between how excited people are to see them as they're coming in to their performance in the ring.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just upset now.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better, I'll be honest. We go to an advert break, and then when we come back, there's like a sexy nautical ring lady. Ooh. She's wearing like a
Oh
hat.
yeah,
She looks a bit like that guy, that sailor man that was on a couple of weeks ago, whose name I
Popeye.
forget. No, you know the guy.
Oh no, yeah, I remember who you mean.
Yeah, the model. Was he called the model?
Yeah, the model was his like ring name.
Yeah. It looks,
He had like an actual name, but I've forgotten it.
I was going to say Ricky Martin, but that's somebody else. um, so we move on to our next match, one that I was actually quite excited about. It's Tatanka versus Reno Riggins. I don't know who Reno Riggins is, but he wears leopard print little kind of pants, and that was kind of fun.
Little budgie smugglers, yeah.
Budgie smugglers. So the action starts off in earnest. It happens quite quickly. Tatanka gets jumped straight away. Reno Riggins,
yeah, well, Tatanka just runs in. He's immediately full of beans.
Yeah, and I think I'm always quite excited now to see Tatanka. Like, he's one of the highlights of the show so far, I'd say. He's definitely someone that I wouldn't say I was ever familiar with. Like, I didn't know anything about him. And obviously we had that bit of weirdness to begin with where we didn't know if he was actually Native American or he wasn't. He is. He plays a good character. And this is what I was saying earlier. He's got a good character and he's a good in-ring performer. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I was very surprised by how much he has endeared himself to me. I'm actually, every time I see him on the card now, I'm like, yeah, Tatanka, let's go, man. This is going to be cool. And this one doesn't disappoint. It's probably the only semi-decent match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's come across so far that no matter who Tatanka is paired with, he can usually put on a pretty decent match.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, Reno Riggins is a great pairing with Tatanka.
Yeah.
Like, he can take everything that Tatanka throws at him and he can bounce off him quite literally.
They've got some good chemistry considering Reno Riggins I've never heard of before. So, you know, there's quite an exciting match. As soon as Tatanka sort of is facing away, sort of putting his sort of jewellery and kind of costume onto the turnbuckle, he gets jumped by Reno Riggins. He runs over and hits him in the back. Then quite a nice nippy sequence. They go off the rope. Reno Riggins tries to basically run into Tatanka. Tatanka leapfrogs him. And then as he comes back off the rope, Reno Riggins, Tatanka's already on the ground with his feet up. And he manages to kind of flip him over. Like, it's a really nice little spot. I don't know how to describe it very well. It looks
awesome.
But it was really cool. And I was like, oh, that's neat. They both get straight back up. And this is like, they're basically just, in this match, they're up, down so quickly. It's brilliant. The last match was very much the absence of moves. This match has, if anything, too many really good moves. Tatanka gives him like the old bread and butter. He hits him with those really loud, stinging, lovely chops.
It's a great sound.
Oh, beautiful noise. Music to my ears. I want to hear like Ode to Joy made up of Tatanka's like chop slap noises. I think that'd be great. As Reno Riggins comes off the ropes, he gets hit with a huge backdrop. Tatanka just he sort of bends over, Riggins goes in, Tatanka stands up, and Reno launches himself so high. It's really, really impressive. And I think even one of the announcers remarks, I wonder how high Shawn Michaels is going to be thrown at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that might have been Macho.
And then we kind of get back up to our feet again, and Reno Riggins gets Tatanka's head and scrapes his face on the ring ropes, down one side, which is very, very nice heel work. Very nice heel work. I was like, it looks mean, it looks painful, and it just cements you as a bit of a dickhead, really. He kind of bounces Tatanka off the ropes, and you can already tell I'm enjoying this match more because I sound more animated and I sound more excited.
Yeah. It's like, the ropes, yeah, gets on the ropes.
He gets him in a sleeper hold, Reno Riggins does, and Tatanka fights his way out of that. He leapfrogs Reno Riggins again, gives him some more chops, and then one of Tatanka's kind of coolest moves, kind of to slow down after this really quick hot spell, he does a quick arm drag, keeps hold of Reno's arm, and gets him in a sitting arm bar. Which I thought was pretty cool. Reno Riggins works his way back up to his feet. They go over to the corner, and there's chops and punches from Reno Riggins to Tatanka. Tatanka, being the master of the chop, swaps. So he throws him into the corner and gives him his own chops. Tatanka does this thing where he, as he's getting thrown into he gets Irish whipped from one side of the ring to the other, one corner to the other. And he jumps up onto the second turnbuckle, Tatanka does, and then in one fluid movement throws himself backwards while turning in midair in a kind of diving crossbody springboard thing, which was awesome to see. Reno Riggins ducks underneath it.
say it doesn't land, but it looks great.
It looks cool. It's like, okay,
and that's what's important.
I'm being thrown into the corner. I need to do something to try and turn this around. Ba-ba! Flying off like the fucking the turnbuckle at him. So yeah, he dodges it. They get up, and on the ground, Reno Riggins starts to literally just choke Tatanka. Like he's just trying to kill him. Like he's just trying to kill this man.
That's the thing. It's not like a chokehold or anything like that. He's literally strangling him with a hand.
Yeah, he's basically got both his hands around his neck and he's just squeezing the life out of him.
Which, again, I thought that was a DQ move.
Well, I think you have to the count of 5, and then if you don't release the hold, then they DQ you. Because, I mean, if that was the case, no one could get any psychology going. Because the second you went anywhere near anyone's neck, DQ, no. So you couldn't...
What if you just threaten, like...
So you couldn't ever get any heel heat going, because you're not allowed to break the rules to a certain extent to make people hate you. So they get up and they're in one corner of the ring, and then Reno Riggins grabs hold of Tatanka by like his shoulder, his head, and then they run the entire length of the ring from one corner to the other so that Reno Riggins can bang Tatanka's head off the turnbuckle. It's like a really long run as well. They're like, oh, boom, hey! It's fun. It's cool. Tatanka does his normal kind of hulking up. He starts doing that little hop footy dance that he does.
I think the commentary team called it the hot foot dance or something along those lines.
There's like he gives him a chop to kind of like start the whole comeback sequence. Then he bounces Reno off the ropes, and he gets like a running chop from the rope rebound. So like he runs towards him, they're running towards each other, and then Tatanka just gives him a slap across the tits. It's great. I love it. It's grand. Then as he's coming off the other rope, he gives him like a big power slam as well. He gets him up in for the Samoan drop, drops him into the Samoan drop, big slam, pins, Tatanka wins. Good match.
Good match. Damn good match. Again, always happy to see Tatanka.
Me describing it probably went on longer than the match did. It was very swift, fluid, good action.
It was only like 3 minutes, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, but it didn't overstay its welcome, and it was a really nice punch, like shot in the arm of energy and fun and good wrestling in this show.
Yeah. Which is much needed for this episode.
Yeah, can you imagine if we didn't have this match and we only had the Bushwhackers, then what comes later? How fatigued and like sick of wrestling we would be.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether like this should have been like maybe not the closer, but at least like the second to last match. Whether that would have put a bit of a brighter spot on it.
Yeah, maybe. But then again, I think by that point I would have mentally checked out, so I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it as much. So
yeah,
we move along to a Hall of Fame video package. So the Hall of Fame has just been founded, and its very first inductee is being announced, or has been announced, and that's Andre the Giant.
Yeah, which makes sense because he only died earlier that year, didn't he?
I believe so. Yes.
We had a video package sort of in memoriam, like I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, so this is kind of, I guess, in response to him dying, they've started the Hall of Fame. He's the first inductee, and we get a video package of like some of his greatest moments. And there was a lot of levity and comedy in the moments that they chose. There's like a bit where he's like throwing beer on someone, and there's a bit like on Hulk Hogan, he's like throwing beer all over Hulk Hogan.
He's like pouring a bottle of champagne over him or something.
Yeah, and there's like a bit like where he's like strangling, like pretend fun strangling an announcer, and
oh yeah, very pantomime, like sort of quality strangling.
There was a weird bit where he was standing in a crowd, and Vince McMahon was kind of by his midriff because he's that tall, and there's a lady holding a microphone up to Andre the Giant, like almost on her tippy toes to get it up there, and he just kind of had his hands to either side of his head, and he was wiggling his fingers and doing, I think, a fish impression. He just kept going like that. Bop, 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 bop,
he was like swimming or something like that. It was strange.
And I was like, that's a weird moment to pick, but okay.
Yeah, there's like all these like slow down moments over some very sad piano music, and then there's just like a bit where he's like skating along on side this weird like vehicle that's just a very tiny like wrestling ring, like he's got his own little Pope mobile or something.
Well, I think what I was going to say about the piano intro, it's the piano music. It sounds like like in a 70s sitcom where like there's a sad bit, and it's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know it was in the 70s, but you know how that sometimes used to end with a sad moment. It sounds like the sort of piano music that would accompany that. It was like, oh, Carlton's in a bit of bother, isn't he?
It was very cheesy, sort of sitcom style, yeah.
But like the bit, I don't know, but I know which bit you're talking about with the little wrestling ring. And it's like I said to you, it's because, Nathan, they didn't want his heart to explode. The rampway that he had to walk up was probably like, looked really long. So yeah, they have like a little, I don't even know what it is, like a little platform that they've made up like a tiny like wrestling ring. I think originally it was supposed to be like a cage that they had him in, because he's so big, they got halfway through making it and thought, sod it, we'll turn it into a wrestling ring. We haven't got enough material to make it all the way to cover all of him. Yeah, so he gets driven down to the stage and away again on like a little, like a Pope reveal, yeah, like a little,
Yeah, like a little platform.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of cute and neat and fun. So yeah, that's basically just reminding us that, you know, Andre the Giant has sadly passed after we finished making fun of him. Quite a nice jovial sort of package in terms of the pictures to sort of make you look and think, oh, he was a big, gentle giant. He was good at his comedy. He was popular. It's a shame he's gone. And I think, you know, it was quite a cute, nice little package that they had for him in terms of like his Hall of Fame stuff.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, prior to that, was there like a high-profile wrestler who had passed? I'm trying to think if he was like, might have been one of the first.
I think, obviously, in the 70s and 80s, it was a lot more territory-based. So WWF as a thing wasn't really what it is now. So I think he's probably the first one, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, everybody, that passed that did have such a high profile. Because if you think about it as well, he wasn't just in wrestling. He wasn't just a wrestling figure. He was like...
He was also an actor.
Yeah, exactly. So he was kind of more in the public consciousness. He was kind of more part of the zeitgeist than Randy Savage or someone like that, because he had branched out. He was in The Princess Bride, Nathan, for fuck's sake, the best movie ever made. So
it is, yeah.
If you want to have like your first inductee, I mean, the fella from The Princess Bride probably isn't a bad way to go about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do think it's a case of he probably is the highest profile wrestler / actor / entertainer that died up to that point. Once played Chinese checkers with The Rock backstage at one of the WrestleManias Under the Giant when Rock was a kid.
Oh, nice.
So there you go, something you didn't know. We go to an advert break, and it's just the usual fare of kind of Ico Pro and wrestling toys and Slim Jims. But it was like a nice sort of like bit of flotsam in a typhoon, like a tsunami at sea. Like everything's going wrong, the thing's a mess, but there's one tiny scrap of familiarity that I can cling on to with all my might.
It is a little disturbing though, having like this long, touching in memoriam for their first Hall of Famer, Andre the Giant, and then go straight into merchandising.
Got straight to Bret
Hart. While you're all sad and upset, open up your wallets and buy some fucking toys.
Yeah, buy stuff to make yourself feel better. Comes to Bret Hart with a big old puss on his face, having a whinge about Ico Pro. The man's so sour. So we come back from our usual kind of crop of adverts, and our next match is Money Incorporated versus Scott and Jeff Armstrong. I don't know who Scott and Jeff are.
I don't know if they actually said. I don't know whether they actually said whether or not they had a like a team name. So I've just called them the Armstrongs.
I think going along the same thing as like the Steiners, the Beverleys, they probably would just be known as the Armstrongs. Yeah. So IRS kind of gets in the ring and he picks up the microphone and he says, "Taxes overdue. Don't try and get away from the IRS. All right, now he can wrestle." And then he puts not those exact words, but cut a little promo just to sort of show, I am a bad guy. I like doing bad things.
Like making sure that people pay their fair share.
I've earned all that money,
Vince.
Nathan, I've earned all that. It's mine. I don't see the tax man down where I work helping me at my job. I earned all that. It's my money. Get off.
Bartlett does also say something before the match starts. He says that he likes Irwin, IRS, because he wears a tie in the ring, and so it makes him look like he's taking it seriously. And honestly, this is probably the first time I've agreed with Bartlett. I want to see more wrestlers wearing ties.
I think, yeah, well, The Undertaker wears a tie sometimes.
Does he wear it in the ring, though? I suppose, like, probably later on. I don't know if we've seen him with one so far.
Next time The Undertaker comes on, we'll have a look. We'll catch up on Tiegate then and find out what happened. What's going on with ties. But, I mean, I think, it's looking professional. But that's fine. But he's still got his arms out and they're fucking huge.
Yeah, like, as much as we slag off, like, Money Inc. so far, IRS is a scary-looking man.
Yeah, he's got the look. He's got the body to be a wrestler anyway.
Definitely.
We start off with Ted DiBiase circling either Scott or Jeff. I don't know which one was which.
No, I don't know if they were introduced properly, so we could never tell which one's which.
He gets him in an armbar, and they're just doing sort of like chain wrestling. So he'll get him in the armbar, he'll go underneath, he'll crank the arm, pull him in for a headlock, push him back out into an armbar. Chicken wing, all arm-based offense.
I will say as well, like, I don't have any context for this, but I remember at one point early on in the match, Macho Man just says something like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you a Macho Man hangover," and then he laughs like,
Do you think he?
and it's the funniest shit.
Do you think he means like nose powder hangover?
No, I just like for what context I remember, I think he just meant he was going to punch Bartlett in the back of the head.
Wasn't there also a moment where Randy Savage says that he's going to stick a TV in Rob Bartlett?
That's this match as well, yeah.
So gently that Rob Bartlett can't feel it.
Yeah, because Rob Bartlett's just like channel surfing on a separate TV, trying to see what the competition is at the same time. And Macho threatens to insert the TV inside Bartlett's, like, I think it was like so quickly that he doesn't know where he put it.
Oh, I thought you said gently, and I just got this nice idea in my head of like, oh, Randy Savage is a considerate lover after all. Like
Sorry, yeah, back to the match.
Miss Elizabeth picked right for her husband. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. So they're doing like big, strong, stiff stuff. So it's basically like Ted DiBiase's kind of bread and butter. He's doing like kind of forearm shots and big punches and overhand punches. He's kind of getting him, like pushing him off the ropes, not like Irish whipping him, but like shoving him into the ropes. And when he comes back off the ropes, he's getting him with like a knee or like a quick arm drag or like a European uppercut and stuff. He tags in IRS. It's really hard to focus because, as you said, Bartlett is channel surfing on the commentary desk.
They're focusing a lot more on the actual joke of the commentary team than the actual match itself.
So when this is happening, we kind of move from the hard camera to a shot of the commentary desk over Bartlett's shoulder that just happens to incidentally have a section of the wrestling ring in the top left-hand corner.
Yeah, a little. And you get a little view of what's going on, but nothing actually detailed.
That's what I mean. Sometimes things are happening in that section of wrestling ring, sometimes they are not. And if they're not happening in that section of the wrestling ring, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's people coming in, coming out. Like, it's like, I'm trying to think of like a nice example, but it's like, if you imagine like a fight in a hallway, as the fight goes up the hallway, you see a certain section of it. As the fight comes down the hallway, you see a certain section of it. But you don't want to look out of the hallway to see, like, follow the fighters as they go up and down. That's what it's kind of like.
Yeah, pretty much.
I couldn't make out anything on Rob Bartlett's tiny little portable TV he had. I think I saw a car at one point, maybe a boxer.
I think he was just literally scrolling through the channels, like, at the time.
Just sort of seeing what was on.
Just like soaps and shit.
Obviously, Stephen Matrix's show hadn't started yet because that comes on after Raw, so you couldn't tune into that.
Which is the only other thing worth watching.
I remember when we were watching it, as soon as Stephen Matrix got mentioned, I just sort of went, yeah, woo, 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 woo. Stephen Matrix. It's what I'm listening out for now. Every week I'm like, when I used to play my Ric Flair game, but I've given up on that because it's been too long now.
Yeah, seeing as how that he's not going to come back for a long time.
It took too long and I got bored. This is my new game, listening out for Stephen Matrix. So yeah, it's very hard to focus. I think there's a couple of tags going back and forth, and the IRS and Money Inc. are just basically demolishing these two young men.
Yeah, it's I know we've talked a lot of negativity on Money Inc. before because their matches prior to this haven't been that interesting. This is probably the best that I've seen them so far. Like, they're landing some pretty good. They're not, like you say, they're very brawler style wrestlers, so they're not like high flying or anything, but they're landing some good hits.
There's nothing too technically surprising. Like, no one does any sort of fancy suplexes and stuff. They've got good, chunky, heavy looking wrestling, if you know what I mean. Like, everything they do has weight behind it, it has energy behind it, it looks like it hurts, and I think
it looks like a fight.
Yeah, it looks legitimate. And I think from sort of having a look at the two of them, I would reckon on the roster at the moment they're probably two of the stiffest guys they've got. Like, outside
of the Steiners, probably.
Yeah. If you're a nobody or it's your first match, I wouldn't put it past them to actually legitimately punch you in the head. Just once or twice. It's like a bit of hazing. But I just think it's amazing that you think this is a good Money Inc. match. So all it took was the visibility of the wrestling to be reduced by 4/5 until it starts looking good and impressive. I only saw.
All it took for me was not watching half of the match.
Yeah, I only saw a fraction of the action, but That's all. That's what impresses me. I don't want to see the whole thing. There's a suplex from IRS and a near fall. They are tagging in and out very quickly. They've got a really nice punchy style of tag team wrestling. So Ted will get in. He'll do a few moves, keep the guy isolated in the corner, tag it over to the IRS. IRS will come in, hit him with a slam or a punch, tag. So they're constantly changing over who's in the ring, keeping each other fresh.
I feel like that might be why I preferred it this time around, because from what I recall previously, it fell a lot on Ted DiBiase, like a lot of the tag team.
Yes.
More so than IRS. And yeah, I like seeing him wrestle because, like you say, he is a scary-looking man.
There's like, we're coming towards the close. There's some chops from Ted. Not as good as the Tankers, but quite meaty and heavy. Tags in IRS, and they both deliver a clothesline. And they're just destroying them. There's quick tags. IRS gets a shoulder block, and he wins really quickly and out of nowhere. It was a dominant, easy match for them.
It wasn't quite a squash, but the Armstrongs never had a chance.
No. Going into WrestleMania, they look strong. They look like they should be the champions. They look like they're fighting champions, and they look like they can get the job done. And I am now more, I can't believe I'm going to say this, more looking forward to the Hulk Hogan match with them at WrestleMania, which I never thought I'd say, because now I'm thinking Money Inc. after this performance might actually have a chance. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if Hulk Hogan would let himself lose.
No, but that's why he's got Brutus the Bar Beefcake. Like, just let him get pinned.
What? How cruel is that? It's like, okay, you've been out of the game for 3 years due to a terrible injury. You're going to come back and you're going to lose for me.
So I know the idea of a terrible injury is not funny, but every time I think about Brutus Bar Beefcake and the terrible injury, I just remember all of the fun we've been making of him for getting hit in the face by Parrish Taylor's things. Well, I have been making fun of him.
Thank you.
So that didn't sound like I just laughed out of nowhere, but that's what I was thinking of in my head. I think it would be cruel, but like I say, Money Inc. actually look like a good tag team, and I don't think Hulk Hogan would want to be tethered to the tag team division if he's coming back full-time forever. So to be a tag team wrestler and win the belt, they would then have to lose later down the line so that they can then go, do you know what I mean? He can't just go off in a singles career while also being the tag team champion, because then the division's not getting any action. So they'd have
that's fair. That's a good prediction.
If they win, they're only going to have to lose later when Hulk Hogan wants to go solo again.
Well, isn't that usually like kind of what happens in like the WWE nowadays? Like, oh, you'll have like the big, like the pay-per-view and etc. where, say like they would win, but then in like just some random Raw match, oh no, they've lost the belt again to some nobodies.
It happens a lot. Like normally you win at the pay-per-view, then lose the next night on Raw. That's normally what happens.
Yeah.
Or like they'll give you 2 weeks and then swap it over. So like I remember when we used to watch just pay-per-views just randomly back in the day, and we pick like a period of like 2000 to 2001 or 2007, 2008 or whatever, and just watch a few in sequence over a couple of weeks, just see what's going on. And it would be like this person would win, you'd go away, you'd come back, and then but in the interim, it's changed over to somebody else.
Like three hands, yeah.
And like all of a sudden, you've got a new pay-per-view with literally the whole roster has new champions on it from the top to the bottom. And yeah, so it does seem very sporadic. But we'll see. WrestleMania is just around the corner, Nathan. It's only a few more sleeps away. We'll see what happens at WrestleMania, my friend. It's an advert break, and then we come back, and it's Kamala versus Doink.
Well, no. We have missed out the WrestleMania report.
Oh, yeah. I think because there was nothing to say about it, but we did, yeah. So the WrestleMania report...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I just wanted to mention it because like there is a WrestleMania report with Mean Gene Okerlund again, and he gives no new information that hasn't been provided in the previous like 3 Raw WrestleMania reports. Yeah. So you can generally just like skip over this one, but I did want to mention that Gene Okerlund is apparently going to be wearing next to nothing at WrestleMania. He says they've given him a toga and he's seen more fabric in a roll of floss. So I'm just imagining him coming out in like a string bikini or something.
And if you were on the fence about in 1993, if you want to buy this, hearing that a short, not very muscly, middle-aged man is going to be in a dental floss bikini, that's going to make me part with $50. You got my money. I'm a sicko.
And he starts talking to Macho because apparently Macho... first of all, he sort of asks Macho about his own toga. And I'm picturing what Macho's toga looks like now, and I'm imagining like the weird multicolored style leopard print that he usually wears. I'm thinking that's going to be the best toga ever, and I really am looking forward to seeing that.
I'm going to be very disappointed if we put it on and it's just an ordinary toga.
But can you imagine like the first man in history to wear a combination like multicolored toga and matching cowboy hat?
Is the cowboy hat going to be made of the same fabric as the toga?
It would just be flopping down his face like his hair.
But the other thing he said he was asking Macho Man about his car that he's arriving in, and he's coming in an Egyptian sedan.
A party sedan, no less.
Sedan, and I don't know what that is, but there was like a certain section where he was like, "Oh, I know you bring in Egyptian virgins," and I'm like, "It's Roman themed. It's a Colosseum. What's all this Egypt talk?"
Yeah, he gets really creepy about them virgins as well.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I guess Rob Bartlett's carpooling with him then.
I imagine they're just driving all the way from New York to Las Vegas.
In togas.
Getting pulled over by the police.
Like, what the fuck are you doing and where are you going?
Oh, we're going to Vegas, baby, in the party sedan. Just me and my virgin.
I own this one. This one's mine. He belongs to me. So yeah,
because I could imagine like a Macho Man's the kind of guy who will say, "No, we're not taking any restroom breaks on the way, and I don't care that it's a 20-hour drive. I'm coked up to all shit. We're getting there today."
Yeah, like I imagine a car ride with Macho Man would be the single most intense experience of my life. So we move on from that really nothing segment to our main event of the evening. This is our main event, the last wrestling match that's going to happen in Raw chronology before WrestleMania IX, the biggest show of the year, and it's Kamala versus Doink. I've got no problems.
End me.
I've got no problems with Kamala. I enjoy his antics greatly. I don't like Doink; he annoys me. But I don't understand why this is the last wrestling match on the show before WrestleMania.
Having two essential, like, comedy characters is all I can think of calling them.
Basically nobodies at the moment, just having a scrap. And it's not like the Royal Rumble. In the Royal Rumble, the Raw before, everyone that was going to fight in that had a wrestling match where they demolished their opponent to make them look good, to hype you up for the Royal Rumble. The only people that are wrestling at WrestleMania that we've seen, Doink, Money Inc. and Tatanka. They're the only.
I'm trying to think because
nobody else.
Yeah, no, the Bushwhackers aren't going to be there, are they?
No, and neither's Damien Demento and the Repo Man. So, and it's not like Tatanka looked dominant, so I'm excited to see his match. He looks good. It's a reminder of his feud with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see that match. And Doink's wrestling Crush, but it's just basically.
Sorry.
WrestleMania, sorry. It's basically just reiterating the point. He's going to get destroyed. He's going to die at WrestleMania.
Absolutely. Did you not see Crush tear apart that coconut?
Oh, I forgot he did that. Yes, I love Crush so much. Oh,
I love Crush.
I love that. Oh, that was. I missed that episode. We should just watch that one again.
Yeah, shall we start a new podcast where we just watch Crush over and over again?
We just watch that one Raw that had all the bits on that we liked over and over and over again. So we start off, Doink comes out to the ring first with a present. He's got like a little box with a bow on it and wrapping for Kamala. Kamala is accompanied by Reverend Slick, who is the preacher that saved him from his previous engagement he had with Kimchi. And Kamala, his costume looks awesome. He's wearing like a giant traditional Ugandan mask, and he's carrying like a giant traditional Ugandan shield. It's cool. I like that sort of stuff.
I don't know whether they're officially traditional or if they just like found them in like a costume shop or something.
Yeah, well,
but
you know what I mean. Like
they look.
Yeah, it's supposed to emulate that culture and fit in with his character and persona of a Ugandan giant. So Doink starts off the match and he's basically saying, No, wait, I'd like to give you a present. And Kamala's like, oh, you've got me a present? So he wanders over, and then Doink just punches him in the head for a bit, and he pushes him into the corner, and then he puts him in an arm bar, and in a headlock. And
Which,
then,
to be fair, that's how all of my birthday parties have gone when there's clowns involved.
well, especially when I show up and I've had a few Stellas. Happy birthday, boy!
I just want to reiterate what you said. Doink tends to trip up Kamala, gets him in an armbar, Kamala breaks free, and just repeat that for about 5 minutes, and you've got the match.
They sit in an armbar for like a million years.
It's so slow
and boring and annoying, and I've got a bit more. So he leg chips him.
You continue.
That's fine. I don't. It gives him an elbow drop. Kamala, like you say, gets up, feeds off the crowd. Some chops. Finally, something's happening. There's some kinetic energy going one way or the other. Doink takes him back down into the same armbar and does the same variations for another million years. Nothing, and I can't stress this enough, nothing is happening. When they're in this armbar, they're not transitioning, they're not grappling on the ground. He will take hold of Kamala's arm, put his other arm around it, press it vaguely in the direction of his knee, and they will sit there and they will not move. Neither of them.
That's the thing, they act like the armbar is the only thing that Doink can do, but he can't do it properly anyway.
No, it looks dreadful, and Kamala isn't grasping behind him to get out the armbar. He's barely moving as well, so he's not it's not like he's selling this predicament that he's in. It's basically they've just not. Doink's not moving, Kamala's not moving, and I thought my internet had frozen, and I was just looking at a still image. That's how little movement there is. And then I noticed Kamala was breathing, and I was like, no, they're just not fucking doing anything.
Why didn't Rob Bartlett do his funny TV bit during this one, where it would have been okay to miss some of the action?
I legitimately don't know. Maybe because when this was going on, something actually interesting was on the other channel, and people would be not paying attention to the wrestling because it's boring and trying to watch the interesting thing in that teeny tiny TV. Maybe that's why. I genuinely don't know what they were thinking.
The commentary team in general, there's not much going on with them this time, but at one point Bartlett does suggest that Doink takes on the Burger King at some point, and that is a much more interesting match than this one, I think.
I would be interested to see a highlights package of that match, sort of cannons going off and arm bars aplenty. I can't wait to see him get the Burger King in an armbar. I can't believe I've written so much about it. So, they go into the corner and Kamala gives him, a big slam. We go to an advert. We come back and they're in the fucking armbar again. Kamala's just starting to get his offense going and he's starting to, walk around the ring and, do wrestling moves. We go to an advert break and that sort of forget-me-not gas that I was talking about before we started recording, that has been released into the arena and he's back in the armbar again.
That annoyed me so much because I was so happy to see Kamala finally dominating Doink and some actual wrestling happening. But like you say, advert comes on, comes back, Kamala's on the fucking floor again.
And so Kamala gets up and he clotheslines Doink out of the ring. And he then gets out of the ring himself and he chases Doink around the side of the ring. I've missed a whole... Oh, no, I haven't.
You just wrote kill me for the rest of it.
Armbar, all work and no play makes me a dull armbar. Over and over and over again. So he opens up his empty present and Kamala gets counted out, ? Doink slides back in. The match finishes, the bell goes. Kamala gets counted out but Doink wins? Or is it officially a double count out?
I don't know, no, because they say that Doink won.
Okay, so what we're saying is Kamala got counted out because Doink slipped in at 9. That's officially what happened. Because I couldn't figure out.
But there was no indication that the ref was counting or anything like that was going on. It just... Because I was expecting there to be mouse traps or something in the present.
Yeah.
That were just going to fly up onto Kamala or something.
Or something. He'd open it and a big boxing glove and shoot out and punch him in the face. Something,
That would have been better if, by the time that Kamala finally got the present open, Doink just swung his fist through it and, knocked him out.
Oh, that actually would have been funny. And Doink's not funny, so they can't do that. But no, that'd be great if you,
yeah, so it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, if you start opening it, like you say, and then, Doink's, creeping along the floor, and then he opens it, and it's, a picture of a fist, and he's like, huh? And then Doink's fist comes through it. Yeah! Okay, then it just descends into chaos. So Kamala decides to crawl underneath the wrestling ring. I don't know why.
After Doink, because Doink went under there.
Oh,
first.
okay. I missed that. I was looking down, making a note. So can you imagine how confused I was when I looked back and all of a sudden Kamala was crawling under the wrestling ring, as far as I was aware, for seemingly no reason.
But no, yeah, Doink climbs under the apron and sort of scurries through the underside of the wrestling ring, and yeah, Kamala chases after him.
That makes more sense. Okay, fair enough.
And Doink emerges on the other side.
Yeah, he grabs a chair, not like a metal chair, not like a wrestling chair, but an actual
honest to God chair.
Yeah, and he starts like hitting the apron because the apron starts moving, like Kamala's going to come out, so he tries to hit him with the ballroom chair. Kamala
and it looks and sounds all right because like he's hitting like a support beam underneath the thing, and it sounds like a proper whack.
Kamala is actually crawling out of the side, so he comes out of the side, creeps up on him and knocks him down. Kamala grabs the chair, and then they chase up the ramp and they disappear. And then we cut to Todd
and that's
Pettingale.
The end of that match.
Then
But surprisingly, it's not the end of the show.
No. Then Todd Pettingale appears, and we get his advert. And then they go back to the desk. Then they go to an advert break. Then they go back to the desk. And I'm like, I don't understand. There was one thing I wanted to bring up so we could have it officially on a recorded, like, sort of piece of software. I'm certain at some point Todd Pettingale's TV show has the TV premiere of Aretha Franklin's Respect video. I don't know if it's a goof or not, but they looked very serious when they were saying it because Aretha Franklin respects Bret Hart so much.
But don't forget as well, they seemed very serious when they were talking about the Woody. Oh no, not Woody Harrelson.
Woody Allen Cage
the
match.
Woody Allen cage match.
That's a very good point.
So I wouldn't take anything that Vince says at face fucking value.
And that's good to apply to anything, literally anything he says.
Generally.
On the commentary desk.
No, what are you talking about? I've paid my taxes.
But yeah, so maybe they had the RSPECT video. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But we go to another break. We come back to the desk, and there's like Rob Bartlett's fan club there.
What? Is that what they said? Because I think Vince announces that Rob Bartlett won the 1993 spam eating contest.
What?
I swear that's what he said.
Does he have a little trophy? I didn't see a trophy.
No, I didn't see it. Like, that's the thing. And then, yeah, like he's just got three of the larger ring ladies around him, and they're apparently his fan club.
And then we go to an advert break, and then we come back to the desk, and then he gives one a smooch, and then it ends, I think, from what I can remember.
It doesn't end there because he cracks one of them in the face with his elbow. Not on purpose, mind. Like, he's not actually just assaulting these women.
So he gives one a smooch, and he turns around, they're like, oh, Rob Bartlett's a real leading man. And he brushes his hair back, but his elbow goes astray and whacks one in the face. And I'm like, oh no. Okay, what do we think's happened here? Because there's so much faffing around and so much time wasting that this cannot be, no way, shape or form, the plan. None of this show, something's gone off the rails somewhere, and something's gone wrong, and it's been a mess from start to finish.
It feels like the entire thing was completely improvised. Like you say, some match must have been cancelled. But I mean, we've spoken about it off mic. But like there were, what'd you say, like 3 or 4 dark matches?
I think it was 2. Two
dark matches. Dark matches. They're ones that are like performed in the same arena before the actual like show goes live. It was 3.
It was 3, yeah. So that's what I was saying about earlier on. Now, the fact that this episode is shorter than normal leads me to believe that one of these dark matches was supposed to be on the broadcast, and either it was so rubbish or it just didn't work out right that it was cut from the broadcast. Because the dark matches we had before the show, Giant Gonzalez versus Kamala, Jim Powers versus LA Gore, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Tatanka. And then obviously we go into the card as normal. Something's happened. It must have done, because we've never seen such a drastic change in the amount of time an episode has ran at before. And before WrestleMania, you wouldn't want to start fucking with the formula and doing less television.
No, unless the network like ran over time or something, and one of the dark matches just was supposed to be a live match but never actually happened that way, so they ended up being like showing up 10 minutes late or something. I don't know, like I say, the pacing is so strange that it feels like something has gone wrong, but they never once address that fact. I've never seen a show like end up being that much shorter than its usual run length and still look like they're desperate for content.
Yeah, it felt very sort of scrappy, and the pacing was all over the place. And I'll say it now, it probably is one of, if not the worst episode of Raw I have ever seen. And I'm including ones that I've happened to have seen like after this, not just in the run of this show, but ever. If I find out later something horrifically went wrong and they were literally just scrambling, then I'll be a bit more sympathetic. But
fair enough.
But
yeah.
I think at the moment, I mean, talk about good things and bad things. We'll do that in a minute. But I'm going to be struggling to find any good things to say. Nathan, what did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy?
Oh, well, I just wanted to continue on with what you were saying, but I've completely forgotten about what I was going to say, so I'll just carry on like nothing's happened, like this Raw did. Good things, like the Tatanka match versus, I've already forgotten his name.
Oh, Reno Riggins.
Reno Riggins, that's him. Yeah, that match was fun. It was short. The two worked well together. Like it had some impressive feats of athleticism. In terms of what I didn't like, can I just say the rest of the show?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, apart from like the Hall of Fame announcement, that was nice to see. But I mean, and Money Inc. like they did better than I've seen so far. But otherwise, it was really low energy from everyone, including the commentary team today. Like, there wasn't much to actually pull from it, to the point where Bartlett was one of the highlights of the commentary team.
Which should never happen.
Which is a sad day.
That's a sign.
Macho wasn't giving it his all. Macho wasn't giving it his all. Vince McMahon was fairly lackluster. And honestly, like, if the idea of this Raw was to try and have one last blast of pay-per-view sales or ticket sales for WrestleMania, this is quite a pathetic show.
I think, if anything, it would have turned potential customers off. Because they were like, I don't want to pay $50 to see this boring, nonsensical mess about shite.
I don't want to pay $50 to see that fucking clown again.
But togas.
But togas, yeah, we get to see Macho Man's like Virgin Wagon or whatever he called it.
Virgin Wagon.
Hey guys, jump in my co-op car. I call it the Virgin Wagon. No thanks, mate.
So for myself, I'm going to basically mirror what you said. The Tatanka match was the highlight of the evening. It was the only sort of time I felt myself coming alive as a wrestling fan and being invested in something. The Money Inc. match was a nice firming up of their characters, their power, and themselves heading into WrestleMania. After last week, I was super hyped for WrestleMania. That is now I'm going to officially say has dipped a fair old bit after seeing this week. The show, by and large, was just it. I don't know why a shorter show felt so dragged out and long and boring. Like we've had we've had Raws before that we've looked at and gone, well, that was a bit boring. Oh, but by us talking about it, we've made it fun for each other. Do you know what I mean? But with this, it was just dull. One thing I will point
out as well is, like, outside of the WrestleMania report, like, it felt like WrestleMania was barely mentioned.
Yeah.
There was nothing. There was no word from, like, you know, they didn't have like a special announcement from Bret Hart or Razor Ramon or anything like that. You know, they had Money Inc. wrestling, but they didn't like try and cut a promo to say, oh, Hulk Hogan, like next Sunday we're coming for you, or etc. etc. Like, if it just had something like that, it would have had a bit more character to it.
It would have continued the storylines of the show in such a way where it didn't feel like we've just plucked this one out of nowhere and decided to watch this one. Like, this one actually does fit in the chronology of the ones we're watching.
I would expect something like this to have aired after WrestleMania, like when everyone's tired, all of the talent is in a different state.
Yeah, it's the kind of like this sort of the blow off, the slowdown before all the new stories start. Yeah. Like I said, last week's was really energetic and fun, and everyone felt like they were having a good time and trying and enjoying what they were doing. This time round, it's just felt like sort of long and dull and tedious. And like, if this is the energy going into WrestleMania, I can't imagine it being that good. So it's kind of really, you can hear it in my voice. It's really sort of dragged me under this one. I really sort of feel
It's made me all depressed.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I sort of feel like...
You know what? You know what would cheer me up after such a terrible Raw?
What's that?
Watching the March to WrestleMania airing that very Sunday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we get to see Macho Man, like, loosen up Yokozuna a little bit for WrestleMania the week after. Except that's not exactly going to be the case, is it, Blake?
No, so just to give you... Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. This is to finish the show off. So the plan is, we're not reviewing this, but there's this thing...
No, we're not going to, because it's 2 hours long.
It's called March to WrestleMania. So instead of next week there being an episode of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania, they don't have one. They have this thing on the Sunday instead, this March WrestleMania, which is like a 2-hour special that aired on 3 networks at the same time. So it has like a broader reach to kind of get more people into buying the pay-per-view rather than just people that are watching Superstars or Raw on this one particular network. Like you say, there is several matches on this card, and it's kind of like what your pre-show would be now, like fan access almost sort of thing. So like, but it's just been broadcast. So it's like Sunday Night Heat. That's a better example. So like before the pay-per-view, you could watch like 2 hours Sunday Night Heat, and that might set up a storyline, or it might kind of all the overspill, like where, like you say, you're going to see Yokozuna fight Macho Man, and then to make him look good. So all the people they couldn't fit on the TV shows to keep their energy and their heat running will go on here, and it jumps up more excitement to buy the product and watch the WrestleMania. Now they say on the show that it's this Sunday, so we're on March 22nd, so it will be something like the 29th or something.
The 28th.
28th. But we went to try and find this because I didn't realize how long it was. So I said to Nathan, we'll review this because it's instead of doing the Raw, we'll do this, and then afterwards it'll be WrestleMania. So we did some Googling, and it is on the network, so we could do it, but we're not going to. Basically...
But we found out some scandalous information, didn't we,
Yes, we did. So it aired on March 28th, 1993, but it was filmed, this is very suspicious, on March the 7th, 1993.
So how can Macho Man soften up Yokozuna before WrestleMania if it's actually like a full month before WrestleMania rather than a week? You know what, Blake? I'm starting to think that wrestling is scripted.
No. What it is, it must be, like this bit isn't scripted, but no, it must be. What's happened is, at the end of the filming, like, because I was saying to you, like, Macho Man, he must know the result, but I was like, no, I've worked out a way this works. So at the end of the show, after they've finished all the filming, right, this sort of forget-me-not, like, scarecrow gas comes out of the arena, like Men in Black, and everyone forgets what just happened over the last 2 hours, and then they're all going to sit down and watch it this Sunday on tape, and they're going to find out together what happened. There you go. It works. Don't question it. That's it. Don't worry about it.
The timeline has been fixed.
Timeline restored. So just to reiterate, the next episode we're doing isn't this March WrestleMania thing. It will be WrestleMania 9.
The actual WrestleMania 9, and that's going to be coming out a week after this airs. So that'll be the March the 29th, I believe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then after that, we'll be back on schedule with the rest of the Raws.
So, just running into WrestleMania, some like nice, tiny, small little condensing. Basically, the storylines got going in. Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. I'm dreading that. Money Inc. versus Hulk Hogan. I'm looking forward to it a little bit. Brett versus Yokozuna. I'm kind of hyped for.
Is it Brett versus Yokozuna? I thought it was
indeed.
Brett versus Razor Ramon.
No, Razor Ramon was Royal Rumble, Nathan.
Oh, that was sorry, yeah.
He won that. He's moved on now. So
I haven't heard anything from him since.
No, I know. He's probably in exile out of embarrassment. He's got his toothpick caught somewhere and he can't get it out, so he can't show up. And we've also got the one I'm really looking forward to, my favourite, what I think is going to be my best match tonight, my best one.
It's going to be the best one. Shawn
Michaels versus Tatanka for the Intercontinental belt. Give me that.
Because we've seen them go against each other already, but it was in a three apiece tag team.
Yeah, it was like a 3-on-3, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we saw them. Oh, that was Jannetty. No, I'm getting confused with the Rumble. Damn it!
Oh no.
And we've also got Doink getting resoundingly kicked the shit out of by Crush. He's going to rip his head apart like a coconut.
You know what? If it is just like a 10-minute match of Doink getting his shit kicked in, I am so looking forward to that.
So we're going to figure out how we're going to do it, because it's going to be a longer show to watch, which probably will mean a longer episode. But yeah, the next time we speak to you,
I mean, fuck. This was supposed to be a 35-minute episode of Raw, and we've gone on for like nearly an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
oh, well, we didn't even need to use our hilarious joke about there's like 20 minutes of like dark podcast footage. That's why it's shorter this time.
I know. I'm really upset about that. I can't believe we went on for the usual length of time on this dross.
Yeah, and then last week we were shorter. That was a fun one. What's wrong with us?
Maybe it's just because we're like low energy from like all of the depression.
Yeah, so I'm not speaking as quickly. But yeah, so next time we do a show, it will be WrestleMania 9. It's going to be a long one.
Pray for us.
So come excited, bring snacks, bring food. Hopefully it's a good show.
Settle down with your favourite girl.
It's going to be like the biggest thing we've done so far, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm quite excited. So yeah, that was going in Raw, March 22nd, 1993. I've been Blake. That's my tag team partner, Nathan.
Oh yeah.
And I have had enough, so I'm going to go now and have a beer.
Yeah, I'm going to get a bit drunk tonight, I think.
Yeah, fuck it. What's left to live for? Nothing.
Well, if Doink the Clown can beat Kamala, then I can